never underestimate the value of affection, of a hug on a child. My grandmother loved me. She, with, you couldn't tell her nothing about me. She loved the pants off me. But affection was in short supply. She wasn't that person. We were not those people. I was affectionate. I was very affectionate. That's one of the things that I've gone back in my in that work. I always was on. You could not pry me off of my grandmother. And once I was there, she's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. She loved me, but I initiated it, and I don't know. Nobody else in my family was like that. So I learned that I need this. Please give me that. So I would hug him, and then maybe when I was 10, I have a memory of my sister and I. I've got a younger sister that came to live with us, of us playing with these other kids. And part of my memory is that Wayne, even now, that loves to shut down and shut everybody out. Because if I'm like that, then you can't hurt me or whatnot. I remember these other kids trying to play with us, and I completely put up this wall, and I was like, no, talk, don't talk to them, because they're gonna say mean stuff, and we're better than them, and we're better. Just who says that as it? But that's a story that I had to tell myself at that second, because I didn't want to be hurt. I would go to him and go, hey, you can be completely open, and don't don't shut everybody out.
Wow.
Don't shut everybody out, and build this armor. Because even the Wayne that, when you say that you watch on a show, or even from when I start, when I teach acting classes, I always say, know your strengths. And I know that for me, one of my strengths is when dealing with an audience, I make you feel like I am completely open to you. And I'm not going to say the word charming, because you don't call yourself charming, but I do know that I have a thing that I can draw people in, and I can make you feel good, and I can feel good, and we've got that thing, and I'll smile at you, and we do that. But as soon as I step off stage, then I am very much the whole thing, the armor's back on.
Really?
And it's not because I'm aloof or I think I'm better. It's because I'm not on stage anymore. I'm going to protect myself now.
Wow.
And I would tell the Wayne that develops that armor, which can sometimes seem aloof, which every blue moon, someone has run up on me in real life, and maybe it was the day that they were expecting, hey, Wayne, you been in? Like, yeah, hi.
Wow.
But you didn't. They just caught me on that day. Was never to offend anybody. I have gotten so used to protecting myself. So I would try to go back and tell that kid, hey, it's okay to be open. It's okay. You don't have to, not everybody is trying to punch you in your face, man.
Wow, man. This is powerful.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard you talk about this stuff in interviews this deeply.
I think I've definitely started talking about it more in the past couple of years, because it's the only way. I'm trying to reach a point by the time I leave this earth, knock on wood, which I hope is many years from now, that I can honestly say I'm living in transparency, and also taking control of my narrative. Because even in a bigger even in terms of my work, I know that for some people in this business, I've been placed in a box, and I fight that box all the time. Whether it's because there's work that I want to do and work that I'm creating, but they're like, oh, well, Wayne Brady doesn't do those things, because I like him when he does da-da-da. And talk about fueling the resentment train. Don't even get, that's a whole, like mad? Don't even talk about that. But the only way that I can break that and take back my narrative and letting me really express myself creatively and doing some of the roles that other people are in control of, I believe, is to truly, instead of being the smooth Wayne that is on these shows and that has, from my time on Whose Line to, that's how I'll go along to get along, is you'll never know anything about me. And that armor will make me smooth, and I'll smile at you. Wow. And we'll do a thing. But that's all it is. I'm gonna keep this at bay by letting myself be open and being more transparent and showing the cracks in the armor, the wrinkle here, the blemish there. I can show that this is real life, and I'm a real person who is capable of not only artistically delving and doing the things that I want to do, but I'm a real person who maybe my story can touch and affect someone.
This is really inspiring, and I want to be respectful of your time. I think we only have about 7 minutes left. Make sure I get you out of here.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I could ask you questions for hours. But I've got a couple final questions for you. But
please.
Before I finish these final 3 questions that I ask everyone towards the end, I want to ask you if you're open to try something, and feel free to say no. This is coming to me. We can edit this out if you don't want to do it.
Let's see.
I'm curious if you could. I don't even know where I'm going with this, but I want to see if there's something here. I'm curious if you could.
See, remember off-camera we said that that the best type of improvisation is a conversation.
Yes.
So this is the yes and.
So the yes and. So I'm curious if you'd be open to doing some type of recap of this conversation in some type of artistic way. From the things that you've talked about, if you could go back in the last hour and a half and pull in all the conversations that we've had, if you'd be able to, I don't want to call it a song or something, but if there's a way you could improv or a rhyme or something of a recap, kind of your strength of what you do best. And we can cut this out if this is doesn't make sense. But I'm curious if there's something there.
It's interesting. Let's see. We don't have any music, so I don't know if I would call it a straight up rap. But let's see if there's some sort of recap.
Yes.
That's interesting.
It could be 60 seconds. It could be 30 seconds, a couple minutes, whatever speaks to your heart, whatever's on your mind from the conversation we've had, what it's brought up for your life in the past, and where you were intending to head in the future.
Let's see, just off the top of my head. Okay. So I've been challenged right now on this very spot to create this. Here I am sitting down on the spot, the school of greatness. I tried to arrive on time, so you can't impugn me or talk about my lateness. All right, put on the spot. I do this fairly well, so I can't hate this. So let me start. I go back. Again, where can I begin? I mentioned I felt like a superhero, so this is the story of my origin. Kid raised in Tangelo Park, complexion chocolate, very, very dark, to parents from the Caribbean. Thinking of all of the places and the dark spots that I've been again, thinking of how I was raised, thinking of the things that have been said that stuck in my psyche, thinking and dreaming in my mind, in my room, ruminating on the great man that I might be, keeping these dreams and visions to myself because I felt that maybe I could see visions of wealth. Fame was never really on the chalkboard. It wasn't something that I saw. Really, I was thinking more of a car or never getting in trouble with the law, using that type of privilege that money could be, and that would be that. Trying to become so rich that one day maybe my green would equal black. Trying to work my way out of the neighborhood by using these skills that I would develop, and thinking about the relationships, a hug from my grandma in her arms that I could be enveloped, being bused to one school and saying that I wasn't white enough, then back with the other kids, not black enough, where life was tough. I swore to myself as soon as I started to work that I'd be the person on top. You couldn't call me a jerk or any other type of name that would come out of your mouth. If I mentioned this before, I'm from Orlando, deep in Florida, the deep South. So every single day was a battle. Every single day was war. Every single day was some type of fight with words and barbs that I tried to ignore. So I took it on the chin, kept it, and sometimes I felt my heart would break. I couldn't speak it loud at home, so I would develop this horrible headache. I had a migraine that wouldn't go away. The only way to stop it is to do a job and get that money. There's something in the store, and I'd go out and I'd cop it. I learned early on that affluence was meant to attain wealth, And I equaled it very foolishly with wealth would equal great health. And I moved from Orlando. I was a musician and a dancer. I was an actor and doing all these things. I would just take my chance. So I went to Japan. I sang overseas. I came. I did things. I did everything to the best of my ability. From Broadway to stage, I learned to improvise. I thought I was being smart. I thought that street smarts equaled wise. I just kept on running until the feeling would settle in. And then I recognized now that I was running on pure adrenaline.
Ooh.
I met my ex-wife, my ex-ex-wife, because I was married twice. But the second marriage, it worked out rather nice. I met her in Hawaii. We both moved here in 95. And then later on, we had a child. She's 20. So for 20 years, we've managed to keep her alive. Between the two of us, we had ups and downs. We worked at theme parks and theater. We did every single thing. All we can do with that paper chase and my daughter, the greatness that I could see in her. All I wanted to do was to create. Fame, I didn't want it. All I wanted was the external things, a nice car and a house so I could flaunt it. But then people knew my name. But then with people knowing your name came with a greater awareness, and you'd have to learn to play the game. So I put on the shield and I put on the gloss, and I'd sit there and smile at the ABC and the CBS at the boss. And inside, I was just angry as can be. I was ready to snap on anybody at any second if I thought they were disrespecting me. Still, it wasn't until the age of 40 that I realized I needed therapy, because my daughter, she said, "Daddy, I don't want you to die." Those are real words that she shared with me.
Oh, wow.
So in the decades since, and in my experience, I've kept on trying. My dad, he passed at 45. So every day, that's the number that I kept from dying. So now all I can do is day by day, live my life. Single, we've talked about how bad it was in relationships, not necessarily looking for a wife. First, I've got to work on myself and establish a relationship with the deity from above, because just like RuPaul said, and I'm paraphrasing, you need self-love. So that's where I am. I'm working at this point to parenting Little Wayne. And so here on the School of Greatness, my life story, I hope in this rhyme I've explained.
Oh my goodness. That was incredible, man. Wow. That was amazing.
Oh, thanks. Now I'm lightheaded. Good. I'm glad I did it.
That's amazing, man. Thank you for the that was again on the spot recap. So
Thanks,
I appreciate
man.
it.
No one has ever asked me to do that. You win for the most original thing that has happened in an interview.
That was incredible, man.
Well, thanks.
Again,
man.
I love you said to focus on your gifts. And so I wanted you to be able to use some of that gift, because, you know, we talked more about the emotional side of things, but which is what I'm most curious about or fascinated about human beings, and what makes them become great, and what made them run from pain that turned into greatness, and how can we also create that inner peace while we are using our gifts and our talents, so that we're not in shame or hurting or in pain, but we are using our talents to make an impact on others. So,
which I love that. And just to add as an addendum to this, you know, to folks watching, we've talked about all the negative stuff that forges you, you know, but the positive piece of it is, just like you were saying, to use your gifts. The positive piece is, when I was a kid, I developed whatever the natural thing is that I have that I put technique to later, but the natural inquisitive nature that makes me want to learn, that made me want to read everything, that made me a sci-fi nerd, a history geek, all that a musical lover, to be able to write songs on the spot, to do these characters, to do these things that I did create when I was a kid in that room by myself, that ball of creativity that I was able to, year by year, and as I've gotten older, to use that as my way to express myself, so that whether it's an hour-and-a-half show, whether it's a Broadway show, whether it's my improv show, whether it's a game show or playing a character, I was able to channel that into my thing, and to be able to have something that you have built and grown. I wish that everyone did.
yeah.
Have that. I wish that everyone would have something of themselves that they can develop that talent, because that is a shot at greatness. to become an outlier in something, to be able to put in your 10,000 hours at something and go beyond a shadow of a doubt, that I could look you in the eye, that I could look at anybody watching in the eye. I look the audience in the eye every night and go, I am great at this beyond a shadow of a doubt. No matter what my other stuff is going on, I do this. And this is something that cannot be taken away from me unless I let it.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a beauty. That is a beautiful thing of being able to have that art come out of that pain.
Man, I still have these couple final questions, but how can we best be of service to you? I want people to follow you over on Instagram and your TikTok and
thanks,
your website. We'll have it all linked up here.
Yeah, they come and follow me on my Instagram at Mr. Brady Baby, Mr. Brady Baby. My TikTok is Wayne Brady, and I think that those are the two that I use the most. Of course, on Facebook, if you find me, I'm the official Wayne Brady.
How else can we be of service to you?
Wow, that is such an amazing thing I think even on Instagram, reach out, because here is the thing that we've talked about all this other stuff. Some of the things that I'm trying to put out into the world. I'm trying to, during the pandemic, one of the good things to come up was in the conversation around race and Black Lives Mattering and these voices and giving voices to voices that aren't heard. One of the things that came up was in the world of comedy. You know, UCB and Second City and some of the giants in comedy here in LA, a lot of stories came about the inequities of how minorities were maybe treated in those spaces. And my goal, my dream is to create a space where the kid that looks like me, or the kid that doesn't look like your average person in a sketch group or an improv group or whatnot, can find a safe space to develop those talents. If I would have, that's one of the things I think that really helped me is when I think I was 18 or 19 when I started really doing improv and learning the art. I learned it from a group that became my friends and my family at the time, SAC Theater out in Orlando, SAK. So if any of you in the South, go to Orlando, SAC Theater. I helped form this thing called the SAC Theater Comedy Lab. And that's where I learned the art of being funny. Not where I learned to be funny, the art of building. And of course, I was the only person that looked like me. And I didn't know that when I did Whose Line that it was such a big deal that I was the only person that looked like me in that little group. But I want to create a space here in Los Angeles, one in Orlando, and hopefully one in New York, where I can make it okay for these kids to come into this space, to use their minds, to use their imaginations, to feel free, to play, because that's what I do. All of this serious talk aside, when I'm on stage, I'm playing like a little kid. I want them to engender that sense of play and to embody it and to feel it, and to also teach them a bigger conversation about the art, not just the art of improv, but the things that I feel that help me. So giving courses in history, giving courses in singing, dancing, acting, how all those pertain to improv and sketch and writing. So hopefully I can create a generation of writers, and even kids that don't go into show business. How amazing to be able to have the confidence because you've taken an acting class or an improvisation class to be able to speak in, which is one of the fears I think that most humans have, speaking in front of an assemblage. So it's like, I'll share with you now one of the scariest things in the world, to give them the confidence to take that into a job interview, take that into work, know that you can walk into a place and I can talk to anybody in this room and feel confident. I would love to be able to bring that. So we are starting an academy. I started to partner with Freestyle Love Supreme, Lin-Manuel's group, my buddy Anthony's group, to be able to bring an academy like that to life.
How can people support or be a part of that? Or should they sign up for a newsletter to be?
Contact me on Instagram. The way that I'm building that slowly is I'll be doing workshops in the middle of all the other stuff I'm doing. I'm going to start doing workshops here in Los Angeles and at other places in the country, doing free improv workshops and public speaking improv workshops.
So if that's interesting for people, they should DM you on Instagram
Absolutely.
or message you or leave a comment somewhere.
And someone will get back to you, and I'll put together a mailing list. And
wow.
And it has to start small at the grassroots level.
It's amazing, man.
Yeah.
So make sure you guys reach out and send them a message on Instagram.
And I'll definitely hit you up to come and be a speaker. So
Amen.
So please know that.
Thank you,
man.
Sir. This is a question I ask everyone at the end called the 3 truths question.
Oh,
so imagine a hypothetical scenario.
Yes.
It's your last day on earth many years away. You get to live as long as you want to live.
Oh.
But eventually you got to turn the lights off in this life.
Right.
And you have created everything you want in your life from, where you are now at 50 until the last day. You get to create and make an impact and do the things you love and have the family and the relationships you want.
I love that.
But for whatever reason, in this hypothetical scenario, everything you've created has to go with you. So no one has access to this workshop and this conversation and any TV show you've ever done. All those videos are all...
So you're erased from...
It's hypothetical.
Okay, yeah.
No one has access to your content anymore.
Got it.
But you get to leave behind 3 things that you know to be true from your life, from all of your experiences, from your first memory till, 50 plus years away from now, last memory. What would be those 3 truths that you would leave behind if we had no other access of your content or information?
That really is one of the best questions I think I've ever heard. That's 3 truths. Okay, well, I guess there's self-truths. So the first one that I can think of is, like I said earlier, I think approach life with intention. And I'm going to steal something from my barber, my man Trey, who said something to me a couple of days ago that I think goes along with that. Then I went, "What'd you say?" "Oh, I'm stealing that." He said, "Have a good day on purpose." So I think definitely the intentional piece of don't let life be something that we just get up and we do because we're lucky enough to still be breathing when we wake up. It's like, all right, it's Tuesday. It's cool. No, it's Tuesday. Let's go. Mm-hmm. Whatever that is, let's go. So I think that's one. Live with intention. It may not always work out, but live with intention. Another one of my truths is family is everything. But then in parentheses, that family is whatever you make it. So I don't necessarily mean your auntie and your brother, your cousin, or folks that your family is whoever is good for your soul and is on your team. Not blood does not necessarily make family. I have a family. I have people in my family by blood that I love. But I will say one of the best things about my time here in Los Angeles over these near 30 years is I made a family. I made a family with my ex-wife, Mandy, who now is I do believe she's my soulmate. Oh. I've made a family with her partner, Jason. I've made a family with my biological daughter, but we call ourselves the Core Four, with Jason, Mandy, Miley, and now they have a son, Sonny. That's a family that we chose to stay together. Mandy and I did not have to be in each other's lives. In fact, some would say it would be easier sometimes to make a quick cut and be like, okay, well, I can just go in and do everything I want to. But most of the good things that have happened in my life, it's because of my relationship with Mandy. Wow. And the faith that she's had in me and the love that I get from her.
Your ex-wife.
And yes, wow. Yeah, my ex-wife and her support and this beautiful daughter that we've made together. and the things that we are still trying to put out and make in the world right now.
Wow. Because she's your business partner on a lot of things,
she's my
right?
business partner, and we have our company, and she is my. We right now have a show that we're shooting for a major streamer that is based on our family.
Wow. Cool.
Because of our dynamic. And I have other friends here in Los Angeles, like my brother Harrison, who I worked with in theater, and who is Mandy's godfather, to Chris from Hawaii. That I've got people who I know that if I call them and said, "Hey, I'm in jail, come bail me out," or "I need you because I just need a cry."
Yeah.
So make your family. That's your family. Don't make your family.
Okay.
And lastly, and this is something that I'm still trying to learn. Ironically, because of one of my jobs and my profession, is laugh at yourself. And for me, it is very hard to do because I always am very sensitive to, I never want to have the joke. I never want to be the joke. I always want to make the joke. And that comes from that little kid Wayne being laughed at, or feeling like he was the butt of the joke, and like, you will not make fun of me now. So, but that being said, maybe if someone does make fun of you, it's not going to kill you. And if what they're saying isn't true, then maybe laugh at it and don't give it as much power. That's something that I can definitely learn.
Right. Yeah. That's beautiful, man.
I don't wish I had a time machine, because I grew into who I grew into, and I don't know if I'd want to mess with that much. I think that but I wish that it would have worked out a little differently for her, in terms of having a relationship with her
Earlier
son,
on, yeah.
especially her firstborn.